It seems that Facebook ads actually has a new set of best practices. So if you remember the Facebook Power 5, Facebook has now launched the Facebook Performance 5. And today we're gonna dissect exactly what that is so that you can set up your Facebook ads for success. Now, for those of you that don't remember, the Facebook Power 5 was the set of best practices that Facebook launched about 3-4 years ago. And they pretty much said that if you did all 5 of these things, then you would have the best possible results in your Facebook ads. And the Power 5 included these 5 things. Number 1 was account simplification. Number 2 was dynamic creative testing. Number 3 was automatic advanced matching. Number 4 was automatic placements. And number 5 was detailed targeting expansion. And they pretty much said, if you do all 5 of these things, then you're gonna have the best possible results. What's kind of funny is for those of you that have been working for big agencies during that time, they would actually give you like agency scorecards. So they would say, oh, you're doing like 90% of the best practices, AKA like 90% of the Power 5. Now, it is my hidden belief that if you weren't doing all these things, Facebook would actually dock you in the algorithm auction. So if you weren't doing dynamic creative testing or you didn't have account simplification, then the algorithm would actually deprioritize you. Now, I don't have any proof of this, but it's just like one of my fan theories that I have. If you have any fan theories about Meta or Facebook, comment them below, because I bet we all have a ton based on our collective time together in this industry. But we're not here to talk about the Power 5, we're here to talk about the Performance 5. And this is what Facebook says about the Performance 5. In our efforts to help our advertisers make the most of machine learning in this new environment, we have developed the Performance 5, a simple strategic framework that can help you increase the effectiveness of your media dollars on our platforms. These performance levers have been outlined below with actionable steps for each of you to get started immediately. So what all that means is, hey, here are the new set of best practices. These are the new things that you need to do to make sure that you are most effective on Facebook ads. So let's go ahead and dive into those 5 things. Number 1 is gonna sound super familiar because it was also a part of the Power 5, and that is account simplification. And essentially what account simplification is that you need to reduce the complexity of your ad account, AKA you need to have less campaigns. For a majority of our campaigns at Thesis, we are having anywhere from 3 to 5 campaigns tops, and that's even for like our $1 million per month spenders. And for our brands that are spending less than $250K per month, frankly, we have like 2 campaigns at most, 1 prospecting and 1 retargeting. And the reason why Facebook says this is important is because it wants to reduce the amount of time in the learning phase. Now, if you have been watching my channel, you know that I really don't care that much about the learning phase. The truth is I don't really give a shit about the learning phase, because your campaigns are always going to be in learning in one way or another. However, I have found that having a consolidated account structure really does lead to better results overall. A lot of times what I do when I'm auditing accounts is I take a look at how many campaigns there are and how much overlap there is in their targeting, and I consolidate that immediately. And almost always we get better results out of the gate as a result of that. Now, what's interesting is Facebook actually gives an action here, and they say that you should try to keep less than 20% of all of your ad sets and campaigns under learning. So take a look at your overall budget and try to have less than 20% of that in active learning. It's not a bad rule of thumb, but it's not something that I would live and die by either. Number 2 is creators for direct response. And essentially what this means is you should be partnering with creators for your creative. So I have a few thoughts here. Number 1, there's obviously a big trend with user-generated content, or UGC. And the reason why a lot of that works if you're partnering with the right creators, because it leverages the right amount of trust, authenticity, and frankly, originality or original content. And what Facebook's saying now is don't just create user-generated content, but they're saying to use something that they are now calling branded content ads, which I think is just whitelisting. And what's kind of interesting is they're saying if you are new to branded content ads, or if you are new to whitelisting, then try and invest 10% of your budget on this type of ad content. But if you've already been running that and you've seen more traction, then invest 50% of your budget. Now, I think that this is a really interesting suggestion, and I do find that a lot of times whitelisted content tends to perform a little bit better than content that's just run through a brand's handle. But I think it's a little aggressive to go after that 50% mark. I am a little nervous at some of these like percentage of spend suggestions, but you know, maybe they're onto something, because some of our brands really are spending 50% or more on whitelisted content. Number 3 is creative diversification. And this is just essentially saying, hey, you need to test out different types of ad creative formats. So don't just double down on UGC. Don't just use image ads. Don't just do us versus them ads. Don't just do like typical problem solution, product explainer video ads. You need to really have a wide variety of ad creative strategies and formats that you're testing at any given time. And I completely agree with this. One of the things that I'm always telling to brands is that in order to really scale on Facebook ads, you need to have multiple types of ad creatives and ad formats that are working for you, not just one. Like, I really don't think that you can scale your ad accounts on UGC alone. I think their action here is kind of funny. They're like, test out Reels placements only, which, okay, yeah, I've actually seen that work pretty well for brands, but it doesn't really tend to have the scaling power. It really does seem to be a short-term efficiency play, but it is something I'd recommend everyone test. And they also say to monitor creative fatigue and audience saturation, which, like, yeah, that's our job as media buyers. We should all be doing that. Number 4 is to make sure that you have conversions API or CAPI, which I totally agree with. This is one of those best practice musts that came out after iOS 14. So all of our clients currently have CAPI installed, and I recommend any brand to also do that as well. And something Facebook is saying here is to pay really close attention to your event match quality. And they say to aim for a score of good or great. And essentially all that this is saying is, hey, make sure that your events are matching up properly with your pixel data and your CAPI data. And number 5, the last thing on the Facebook Performance 5 is business results validation. And essentially what this is saying is, hey, make sure that you're measuring your results properly. And the way that Facebook is recommending that you do this, which is something that I really agree with, but I never heard anyone ever talk about on a YouTube video, is to do conversion lift studies. Now, conversion lift studies are something that you used to be able to do directly on Facebook Ads Manager alone, but now you have to do with the help of an agency partner or a Facebook marketing expert. And essentially what this is going to do is it's going to be something that they have to set up on their back end, and at the end of this test, which can take anywhere from a month to maybe 3 months, is essentially tell you how accurate your data is. So oftentimes when we first start off with a client, one of the first things that we're doing is actually doing a conversion lift test to really understand how much we should be trusting the data inside of Ads Manager. So hint, hint, if this is something you haven't done, be sure to reach out to your Facebook marketing expert, be sure to reach out to your partner agency manager, and try to get some conversion lift studies on your accounts. However, my caveat here is you should also be using a third-party attribution tool, like a Northbeam or a Triple Whale. The reality is that even though it's been more than a year and a half post iOS 14, a lot of the data inside of Ads Manager still isn't as trustworthy as it used to be. And regardless of whether or not you do a conversion lift study, I'm still really only recommending brands to scale or decrease spend based on the data that is actually inside of Triple Whale or Northbeam, not inside of Ads Manager. And that's it. If you got this far in the video, be sure to give me a like and subscribe, because those small actions really do help me out as a creator. And they cost you nothing, but it means a lot to me. I would love to hear what you guys' thoughts are on the Facebook Performance 5. A lot of this is just kind of duh information to me, but I do think it's helpful that Facebook releases new best practices. It kind of signals to me a new era of buying media on the platform. But yeah, that's all. Okay, thanks guys. See you soon. Bye.